My name is Dr. Alex Thorne, and I never believed in hell until I saw it frozen solid beneath the Antarctic ice. It was meant to be a routine expedition, a desperate bid to salvage data from a world unraveling at the seams. Global warming had transformed the polar regions into ticking time bombs, with ancient ice sheets fracturing into the sea and permafrost thawing at an unprecedented pace. Our team of 12 scientists and support staff had endured 3 months at Outpost Zeta, a huddle of prefabricated modules clinging to the East Antarctic Plateau amid relentless winds. This fragile outpost was humanity's defiant foothold in a glacial tomb, where temperatures plummeted to minus 60 degrees Celsius, and the sun vanished for months during the polar night. We drilled deep into the ice cores for climate data, layers of frozen history that might unveil the planet's past and foretell its doomed future. But even as the auger bit down, the wind carried eerie whispers, like distant pleas trapped in the ice, and I caught Jenkins shivering, not from the cold, but something deeper, unspoken. On that fateful day, our drill pierced something that defied any natural record. The rig thrummed like a mechanical predator, its vibrations rattling the snow beneath our boots as we monitored the extraction. Excitement sliced through the bone-numbing chill, but unease lingered, a shadow in the floodlights. "We've hit a pocket," shouted Dr. Elena Vasquez, our paleoclimatologist, her breath clouding her visor like a ghostly shroud. The core sample rose from the borehole, a glistening cylinder under the merciless glare. Embedded within was something unnatural, a mass of preserved organic matter, black and slick as obsidian tar, veined with iridescent flecks that pulsed faintly, as if breathing in the harsh glow. It wasn't sediment or ancient flora. It looked almost alive, trapped in eternal suspension. Under the microscope I heard it, a subtle thrum, like a necrotic heart murmuring secrets. Extremophiles, or something that devours from within. We hauled it into the lab module, our gloved hands trembling not just from the frost, but from the eerie thrill of the unknown. This could rewrite our understanding of life in the abyss, I speculated. We had no inkling that we'd just shattered Pandora's frozen vault, awakening a nightmare that had slumbered for eons in the ice's unyielding grip. It began with Jenkins, our burly drill operator, a man built like a bear with a laugh that could melt frost. During the extraction, the rig's platform was treacherous, with fresh snow, and in a careless instant, he slipped. His head struck the metal edge with a sickening crack that reverberated across the icy expanse. Blood sprayed onto the ice, freezing into jagged crimson crystals before our eyes. We rushed him to the med bay, but it was futile. His skull fractured, brain trauma irreversible. Dr. Maria Ramirez, our medic, pronounced him dead. Her voice steady, but her eyes wide with unspoken dread. We radioed for evacuation, but a colossal storm loomed on the horizon, a swirling wall of white that threatened to entomb us. Antarctic weather was a merciless tyrant. Flights were grounded, comms crackled with interference. We zipped Jenkins into a body bag and consigned him to the cold storage unit outside, a grim necessity in a land where the earth itself refused burial. As the storm descended that night, howling like a chorus of damned souls through the outpost's corridors, something shifted in the darkness. Winds battered the modules, rattling reinforced walls and plunging us into near-total blackout as generators faltered. I was on watch in the med bay, sipping lukewarm coffee to fend off the exhaustion bred by the endless night. The polar darkness toyed with the mind. Shadows twisted like living tendrils, every creak of settling ice mimicking stealthy footsteps. Then came the sound. A low, guttural groan from the cold storage, slithering through the vents like a whisper from the grave. I dismissed it as the wind's deceit, but the outer hatch burst open, unleashing a blast of frigid air that pierced like 1,000 icy needles. Jenkins staggered in, his skin pallid and webbed with frost, eyes milky white like cataracts forged in hell's forge. He shouldn't have been moving, shouldn't have been anything but a frozen corpse. Ice encrusted his form from the storage unit, his movements jerky and unnatural, like a marionette jerked by invisible strings from the abyss. "Jenkins! Oh, God, what the—" I stammered, recoiling. He lunged without a sound, teeth snapping like a beast's. His breath, a plume of icy vapor that seared my lungs like inhaled frostfire. My throat constricted, coughs racking me as if shards of glass lodged within. I seized a fire extinguisher and swung it desperately, slamming his shoulder. He reeled but pressed on, claws raking the air with frozen fury. Dr. Ramirez burst in amid the chaos, medical kit in hand. "Alex, what the hell?" But Jenkins whirled, sinking his teeth into her arm. She screamed, blood blooming through her parka like ink and snow. I shoved him off with another brutal swing, cracking the extinguisher against his skull. He crumpled, but not before I glimpsed the abyssal madness in those dead eyes. We barricaded the door as the storm sealed our fate. No evac, no comms, just the endless whiteout and groans rising from the shadows. Outside, the wind shrieked, heaping snowdrifts against the modules, transforming the outpost into a frozen sepulcher. The virus spread like wildfire through a blizzard, mocking all science and reason. Bites were the most virulent. Victims convulsed within hours, bodies contorting as ice crystals bloomed beneath their skin, reshaping them into shambling abominations armored in glittering, lethal frost. But it was airborne too, insidious and unseen, a spectral plague. A cough in the cramped halls, a shared breath in the mess room, and doom was sealed. Symptoms crept in like winter's stealthy advance. An unshakable chill that layers couldn't repel. Veins darkening like spilled ink beneath the flesh, eyes clouding over as the body froze from within, a living glacier of agony. By the second day, half our team had succumbed, reanimated into what we dubbed frostbiters. Their skin cracked and weeping with frostbite, moving with unnatural agility despite the cold that should have petrified them. They felt no pain, knew no fatigue. They hunted with an alien, primal hunger. Their frozen forms whispering promises of eternal entombment. I recall the first mass outbreak with chilling clarity. It erupted in the common area, where we'd gathered to plot survival amid dwindling rations and the storm's unyielding rage. Tension coiled like a spring. Then Peterson, a tech who'd been coughing all morning, doubled over in torment. His skin split along his arms with a wet crack, frost crystals erupting like barbed thorns from some infernal garden, pulsating ice veins whispering as they grew. He rose snarling, tearing into the nearest soul, our cook, who vanished in a spray of frozen blood without a cry. Pandemonium exploded. Screams, gunfire from emergency rifles meant for polar bears, the metallic tang of blood mingling with the ozone bite of Arctic air. We battled free, but 4 more fell to the horde. We barricaded ourselves in the comms room. Me, Ramirez, her arm bandaged but swelling with ominous intent. Engineer Lena Kowalski, a steely Polish woman with unyielding resolve, driven here by the floods that drowned her family back home. And geologist Marco Rossi, whose Italian bravado masked a fracturing psyche, often humming old lullabies to steady his nerves, tunes that now echoed eerily in the stale air, thickening with the rot of fierce sweat. The polar night pressed in, an abyss broken only by flickering emergency lights that birthed elongated, malevolent shadows. The air grew stale, recirculated through humming filters, but beyond the doors, the frostbiters scratched, frozen nails scraping like talons on a coffin lid, echoing our deepest fears. Paranoia festered, a toxin deadlier than the virus. A sudden thud shook the wall mid-sentence, a crack forming as a milky eye peered through, forcing us to shove furniture against it. Marco cracked first, pacing the cramped space, breaths ragged, eyes fixated on Ramirez's wound, his lullaby twisting into a manic hum. "She's turning," he bellowed, brandishing a scavenged flare gun. "Look at her! Veins black as midnight. She's concealing it." Ramirez winced, tugging her sleeve, but he was right. Dark tendrils snaked up her neck like roots from the underworld. "I'm fine," she whispered, voice frail, sweat beading despite the chill that clawed at our bones, her eyes pleading with a regret she'd never voiced. "I should have stayed with my kids. Don't let this be my legacy." I intervened, stepping between them, my mind flashing to my own wife back in Boston, her face blurring into a hallucinated whisper. "Come home, Alex, before the ice claims you." We don't turn on each other, Marco. Not yet. But trust fractured like brittle ice. Every cough, every shiver invited suspicion. Lena hammered the radio. "Mayday, outpost Zeta. Containment breach. Biological hazard. Repeat." Static devoured her pleas, interrupted by another breach attempt, claws rending metal. The storm's electromagnetic wrath isolated us utterly. Escape was a delusion. Snowdrifts towered 20 feet, and the blizzard promised swift death, or worse. The frostbiters lurking in the swirling void, their silhouettes ghostly apparitions in the white haze. We rationed meager supplies, protein bars, dehydrated slop, and improvised weapons. Lab scalpels, wrenches, anything to cleave frozen flesh. Hours dissolved into a fog of terror and fatigue, my thoughts of Boston's warmth twisting into visions of thawing horrors devouring the world. Sleep evaded us. The groans outside were a ceaseless dirge, and nightmares infested fleeting rest. I dreamed of the black mass, pulsing like a necrotic heart, murmuring vows of unending frost, only to jolt awake as scratches intensified. Harsh decisions arrived swiftly. Ramirez worsened, convulsing as ice crystals armored her skin in grotesque splendor. "Alex," she rasped in a lucid breath, eyes imploring. "Don't let me become one. Tell my family I fought." When she turned, thrashing, snarling, humanity devoured by frozen frenzy, I ended it with a pickaxe from the toolkit. The blow was merciful, yet soul-searing. Her blood sprayed, freezing into a macabre mosaic of red ice. Marco and Lena watched in mute horror, the deed forging us in shared damnation. We heaved her body out to the frost spiders, a morbid diversion to gain precious time, their snarls echoing as they tore into her. Desperation led us to the data logs in the lab terminal. Huddled around the ghostly screen, we analyzed core samples, a distant pounding underscoring our haste. The black matter wasn't merely prehistoric. Spectral scans unveiled unearthly compounds, proteins defying carbon norms, isotopes hinting at extraterrestrial origins. An alien relic, perhaps from a meteor eons ago, preserved in glacial stasis until warming reactivated it. Readings directed downward, a cavern network beneath the outpost, etched by ancient meltwater. Seismic scans revealed tunnels and, at their core, impossible heat signatures amid the permafrost. "The source," Lena murmured, face hollow in the dim glow. "A nest. Destroy it and we end this." Marco assented, eyes feral with dread, his hum resuming as a fractured dirge. We had no alternative. Frostbiters pounded the barricades, walls shuddering, panels cracking like eggshells, a claw breaking through just as we moved. We armed with flare guns, crude bombs from lab chemicals, potassium nitrate and fuel, and whatever valor terror hadn't eroded. Lena rigged charges to blast through the floor, her expertise a fragile thread in the madness. The detonation ripped a jagged maw, exposing a chasm of blue-black ice. We repelled into the frozen labyrinth, a descent into nightmare. Tunnels glittered with fractal frost that shifted in our headlamps, as if alive and watching. Sub-zero winds whispered like spectral voices, bearing hallucinations. Jenkins' leering face in the ice, Ramirez's pleas echoing eternally. The air thickened with a metallic tang that scorched my lungs. Had I inhaled the virus? Paranoia gnawed. I scrutinized my veins in the faint light, shadows playing cruel tricks. My wife's voice pleading again. "Don't let it take you." Then the horde surged, former comrades grotesquely fused with ice spines, eyes aglow with bioluminescent rot. They shambled from the gloom, a tide of frozen monstrosities. Marco fired, a flare exploding one in a hail of shards that stung like vengeful spirits. The blast illuminated dozens more slithering from fissures. We fought in desperation, flares erupting like hellfire, thawing walls that avalanched in icy fury. But betrayal came from below. A misfired bomb weakened a brace, and collapse entombed Marco. His screams, "No! Help me!" faded under tons of ice. His lullaby cutting off in a choked gasp, the ground quaking like a dying beast. Lena and I pressed deeper, breaths labored, bodies racked by cold and strain. Tunnels constricted, forcing crawls through vice-like passages where ice pressed like a lover's fatal embrace. Whispers intensified, not illusions now, but chittering burrows in the wall, building to a fever pitch like swarms of glacial insects, each scrape amplifying the dread. What if this was futile? What if the virus rode the winds beyond? Lena's resolve propelled us. She'd lost kin to warming floods, drawing her to this icy inferno to combat catastrophe. Now, she battled oblivion. We reached the core, a throbbing mass in a vast cavern, a heart of black ice veined with bioluminescent slime, radiating an eldritch glow. It pulsed with profane vitality, birthing horrors from wall-embedded pods, gelatinous sacks rupturing to spill writhing abominations. The air hummed, temperature rising unnaturally, drips echoing like a doomsday clock. Frostbiters swarmed, icy claws rending. One seized Lena, teeth piercing her shoulder. She screamed, blood freezing on her suit, but retaliated with fury. "Do it!" she roared, thrusting explosives to me, her flare gun blazing as she held the tide, light and shadow dancing in macabre frenzy. With trembling hands, I ignited the fuse, hissing like a serpent, and hurled it into the mass. It embedded, the core writhing in prescient agony. The blast was apocalyptic, ice shattering in thunderous roar, cavern collapsing in frozen cataclysm. Shockwaves flung me back. I clawed upward through crumbling tunnels, debris raining like judgment. Lena perished, her sacrifice granting seconds, her final flare echoing as the swarm claimed her. I erupted into the storm, the outpost groaning as fissures devoured it, modules crumpling into the abyss. Now, alone on the ice, I stagger through the fading blizzard, suit shredded, body numb as death's prelude. The horizon thaws under a pallid dawn, first light in weeks slicing the gloom. I've triggered my beacon, but rescue may never arrive. The storm scatters signals, the world vast and uncaring. The virus is buried, for us, crushed in collapse. Yet, as the planet warms, more ancient terrors may awaken, thawed by human folly. I've beheld hell, and it's not flame, it's ice, dissolving layer by insidious layer. If this log, etched on my tablet and interred in snow, is found, remember, some things must remain buried eternally. In the end, as cold claims me, I crumple into the drift, vision fading. But wait. Movement on the horizon. Rescue? No. Silhouettes rising from the ice, frostbiters that endured the cave-in, shambling with milky eyes and insatiable hunger. The core wasn't solitary. Thawing stirs elsewhere. My last breath crystallizes in my lungs as they converge. The nightmare unbound. Hell has thawed, and nothing can contain it. As I bury the tablet deeper in the snowdrift, a low rumble pulses from the chasm, like a heartbeat defying extinction. Dawn strengthens, but so does the dread. a chill seeping into my marrow, unrelated to the wind. My reflection in an ice shard betrays me. Eyes flecked with milky white, veins threading blue beneath the skin. The virus clung in that final scramble, a silent stowaway ascending. Rescue choppers drone nearer, lured by my beacon, ignorant of the apocalypse they court. I've become the core, the thawing plague incarnate. And as they hoist me from the ice, the true outbreak ignites, not interred, but reborn. In that instant, as the world rushes to salvage its lone survivor, I smile through lips of frost. Hell isn't merely melting, it's evolving, and I am its harbinger. Some things should stay buried, but I've ensured they rise.